A lot of emotion in Minnesota, across the country over this incident. You're calling Renee Good a deranged leftist. There's been heated rhetoric that we've also heard from officials. What responsibility do you and the president have to diffuse some of the tension that we are seeing play out in Minnesota, bring down the temperature as this investigation is unfolding?
What we have a responsibility to do is to protect the people who are enforcing the law and protect the country writ large. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you deserve to have the people's laws enforced in the United States of America. Now, again, I'm not happy that this woman lost her life. I'm not happy that this woman was there at a protest violating the law by interfering with a law enforcement action. I think that we can all recognize that the best way to turn down the temperature is to tell people to take their concerns about immigration policy to the ballot. Stop assaulting and stop inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's the best way to take down the temperature. And we're not going to give in to terrorism on this. And that's exactly what's happened. People trying to antagonize, to commit acts of violence. They throw bricks at them. Sometimes they shoot at them. Sometimes they dox them. Sometimes they go to their place of residence and harass their families. This is classic terrorism. And we cannot say that when a far left fringe is inciting violence against our brave law enforcement officials, that we're no longer going to enforce the law. That's rewarding the very people who are engaged in this garbage. The actual reward that they just got is a new assistant attorney general who is going to prosecute and investigate this stuff even more aggressively than before. Yeah.
You requested. So the head of Minnesota's investigations agency says that the U.S. Attorney's Office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency's access to the investigation. What is the precedent for that, and why shouldn't the Minnesota officials on the ground have access and evidence to work on this investigation?
Because they could be corrupt too.
Officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy's protected by absolute immunity.
Thank
He
you.
was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous. The unprecedented thing is the idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with absolute immunity. I've never seen anything like that. It would get tossed out by a judge. So what I'd like Minnesota to focus on is the real issue that they're encouraging people. Minneapolis officials are encouraging people to commit violence against ICE officials. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop.
Mr. President, thank you. You said earlier that there's a left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and make it impossible for ICE officers to do their job. You told my colleague just now that there's an investigation going on to that network.
Yep.
So if everything that you say is true,
What do you mean, if everything he says is true? What?
justify being shot.
No, yeah, it's justified.
The network doesn't justify being shot, but ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way. When you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is because she tried to ram somebody with her car, and that guy acted in self-defense. That is why she lost her life, and that is the tragedy. Now, there may be other violations of the law and other penalties that
Hey, will you do me a favor?
Violations of the law. For example, if you're funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing that earns capital punishment. But
Top me off.
Is it just OJ?
It is, but can you actually add a little Jameson right now?
Sure. I'm sorry, guys.
Nice.
What's going
Oh,
on
yeah,
here?
sure.
You guys are meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car.
Thank you.
Himself when that happened. Next question. I said next question.
Oh, he's pissed.
Presumably you watched the video yourself. There's not the slightest doubt in your mind, having viewed it, that the victim, still believe that she deliberately tried to ram
Hell yes!
despite seeing this video?
Look, I don't know what's in a person's heart or in a person's head, and obviously we're not going to get the chance to ask this woman what was going on. What I am certain of is that she violated the law. What I'm certain of is that officer had every reason to think that he was under very serious threat for injury or in fact, his life. What I'm certain of is that she accelerated in a way where she ran into the guy. I don't know what was in her heart and what was in her head, but
her intent looked like.
That's a raise an interesting point, though. Look, if people want to say that we should have a legitimate debate about, what was she really doing, right? Was she panicking when she drove into this officer, or was she actually trying to ram him? That's a reasonable conversation. What's not reasonable is for so many of you to plaster all over the media that this was an innocent woman and that the ICE agent committed murder, which is what many of you have said explicitly and some of you have said implicitly. That's what I have an objection to. The idea that this was not justified is absurd. I think everybody knows it in their heart. Yeah. In a green jacket.
It seems like political violence is branching out and riots could be around the corner. What steps does the administration have planned to try to unite America? Average people on both political sides are so tired of fighting with each other, and I think all the journalists in this room would agree with me that we don't want to be part of the problem. Do you have any words to unite America?
I know you don't want to be part of the problem, and I think that's true of a lot of you. I'm not sure it's true for everybody, because the reporting over this has been one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen in media. I've never seen.
It's only a one count, right? I mean, a one shot of Jameson.
And is now being treated as some sort of federal assassin by so many of the people in this room. First of all, let me say about crime. You mentioned violence. One of the things we're proudest about is that you saw violent crime over the last year drop by 20%. Why is that drop by 20%? Is it because we're attacking our law enforcement officers, or is it because we in the administration are empowering our law enforcement officers to enforce the law? I think that's one of the ways you take down the temperature. Is you make people feel more secure and safe in their person and property. That's why we care so much about protecting our law enforcement, because it accrues to the benefit of the entire national community. I think that we can absolutely talk about the ways in which we can lower the temperature by discussing differences in a reasonable and rational way. Again, I'm happy to talk with any congressional Democrat or any of you about our immigration policy, about why I think it's necessary, about why I think it's in the best interest of the country, about why the President of the United States was elected to actually enforce the border for the first time in at least 4 years. So here's the problem. That's not the debate so many people are having. They are actively covering for people who are committing acts of violence against federal law enforcement. It is preposterous. The way to take down the temperature is to stop it. Have your debates about policy. Attack me. Attack the President of the United States. Don't attack our law enforcement officers. They are trying to do the job the American people demanded that they do.
Cheers.
They are not policy actors. They are enforcing the law. They should be treated with a modicum of dignity and respect. And the fact that they're not is why incidents like yesterday happened. One final point I'll make about this is, look, there's a part of me that feels very, very sad for this woman, not just because she lost her life, but because I think she is a victim of left-wing ideology. What young mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law? You've got to be a little brainwashed to get to that point where you're willing not just to protest, that's fine, not peacefully protest, but throw your vehicle in front of legitimate law enforcement officers and drive your car to them. To get to that point, you have to be, I think, radicalized in a very, very sad way. I certainly wish that she hadn't got there. I know there's an ICE officer right now who very much wishes he was not put in the position where he had to fight to defend his own. Yeah.
What's your message? What's your message?
Oh, even my real nail is bending. It's really thin.
You will scream.
Yeah, no, even tapping it, it's bending.
What's your message also?
It's really thin.
Those protesters who saw that video, and if you're looking at you saw that video.
Well, first of all, I think if you watch every angle of that video,
Hey, did you call Walgreens?
there's one angle where if you squint, you can maybe tell yourself that it's not clear what happened. But when you look at all angles of that video, it is very clear that her vehicle went right for the guy. She actually collided with him, and then that's, of course, when he fired his shots. That's obvious, okay? So what I'd say to the protesters is, by all means, protest peacefully, but make this about ideas. Make this about disagreement with our policy. Don't use your protest as a justification or an encouragement for people to go and incite violence and participate in violence from law enforcement officials. To the people on the ground in Minneapolis, the local officials in Minneapolis, from Tim Walsall down, I'd say, look, why can't you just disagree with a given piece of immigration policy without turning law enforcement into the enemy? And what, I mean, think about, for example, a criminal law where a police officer goes and arrests somebody because they violated a criminal law. If you're mad about that, go and protest the politician who passed that law. Don't attack the police officer who's just doing their job. We had a wide open border under Joe Biden. I happen to think it's a good thing the President of the United States has closed it down. If you think it's a bad idea, criticize this administration for a policy decision. Don't attack our people for enforcing the law, because I guarantee you go to ICE, there are black people and white people, there are Democrats and Republicans, there are patriotic Americans who are trying to enforce the law. Attack me, lay off of our ICE agents. Yeah, in the blue, all the way, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You called on Tim Walz to resign. Can you lay out the case as to why he should step down?
Why? Because he's in.
I think Walz resigned because it's very clear either that he knew about the fraud,
Yes.
he knew about the
Clearly.
fraud, or at least he looked the other way.
Yeah.
This is not
accidental.
right? This is not movie villain fraud. This is the lowest IQ possible fraud. This is, we're going to take the absence of kids and set up a daycare center where there are no children, and we're going to call it Early Childhood Education Center the Quality Learning Center. By the way, if you can't spell learning, maybe you shouldn't be in early childhood education. But people got rich off of this. We know that there were schools who either had no enrollment or at least they overstated their enrollment. Either was unbelievable incompetence or he was in fraud. That's one of the things we're going to get to the bottom of. Sir.
Can you explain the difference between this associate attorney general and special counsel? And you mentioned this being a permanent position, or have you ever limited to?
Well, it's going to be permanent until we get to the bottom of what's going on. So I think it's going to last for at least the remainder of the administration. What's different about it from the special counsel is, if you remember, the Jack Smith case,
self-defense, and other angles of the video show the woman clearly hit the officer with her car while accelerating. The gaslighting is off the charts and having none of it. This guy was doing his job. She tried to stop him from doing his job. When he approached her car, she tried to hit him. A tragedy. Absolutely, but a tragedy that falls on this woman and all of the radicals who teach people that immigration is one of the type of law that rioters are allowed to interfere with. So that is the full statement from Vice President J.D. Vance as he was speaking about this ICE-involved shooting that happened yesterday in Minneapolis, where an ICE agent shot and killed a woman driving. And we hear from the Vice President saying that she was using her car as a weapon. We are going to just step away for a brief moment. We have a lot more news to get to. We'll be right back.
Maury's Brooklyn Park Subaru has once again been nationally recognized for our dedication to our customers, our community, and the Subaru Love Promise. This reward recognizes elite Subaru retailers who provide an exceptional customer experience at every interaction. Also, we're committed to giving back to our community by partnering with Crescent Cove to help make moments count for children and young adults and the families who love them. Maury's, moving life forward. Visit BrooklynParkSubaru.com to learn more.
Tell me about the boy that was following us out of the train station.
Nice to meet you, Eva.
I know you think it's crazy, but what would happen if you didn't catch your flight home today?
If you take the wrong path, you can miss it and regret it all your life.
Taking you so long. Get a lawyer.
And though I am feeling anxiety about this, release it. From the outside, you look perfect. But every family's got secrets, painful histories.
Grow up and play together.
Someone in this room killed Adam. We will find out who. It's just a matter of time.
When the sun is bright and the wind is still, she comes to you like a sudden chill.
As we continue to follow all of the developments out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, after a woman was shot and killed by an ICE agent, there are other discussions going on around the country talking about law enforcement. And our next live event takes us out to Houston, Texas, where Texas Governor Greg Abbott is speaking at a law enforcement event. Let's listen in live.
Safeguards in place to prevent fraud. They are just now beginning that process, and their report is due to me by the end of February.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Great job.
So it does look like this live event has just concluded, but this is what we're going to do, because as we have missed Governor Abbott's remarks while we were in other live coverage, we have rolled on this live event and we're going to play it out for you right now.
I want to welcome everybody here to the Houston Police Officers Union on behalf of our president, Doug Griffith. Everybody who's here to hear this today from the biggest supporter of law enforcement in the state of Texas, in my opinion, our Governor Greg Abbott. There's a lot of folks here that today. I just want to recognize a few that are here, sitting here at the table with me. Of course, nobody needs to know who to the left. Everybody knows it's Greg Abbott. We've got Bill Nelson, the first vice president of TMPA. He's also a Baytown police officer. In the audience here and standing up behind me, we have Sean Peace, the Dallas Police Officers Association president-elect. We've got Jimmy Fullen, the sheriff of Galveston. We got Michael Bullock, the president of the Austin Police Association. Tyler Latham, the Austin Police Association vice president. Brian Hawthorne, the high sheriff of Chambers County. Bo Stallman, sheriff of Brazoria County. Linwood Morrow, Harris County Deputies Organization. Leighton Ganneri, he is a TMPA. John Sariga from TMPA. Brian Lithicum from TMPA. Michael Pallets from Pasadena Police Officers Association. Anthony Rogers from the Galveston Police Officers Association. TJ Phillips from the Department of Public Safety Officers Association, their president. We've got Mike Nguyen from the president of the newly Asian Police Officers Group. And we have Jordan Goff from Precinct 5. Terry Albritton could not be here, so he sent his chief deputy, Jordan Goff. And with that, I want to turn it over to, well, before that, I want to say a few things. Governor Abbott's been with us for over a decade now as governor of Texas, if you can believe that. I can tell you that I've been in the legislature going up there to help with the police matters for the last 5 sessions, and I can tell you that there is nobody who police have the ear of like we have with Governor Abbott. Anytime we ask to meet with him, he makes time to meet with us. He has provided things like bulletproof vests for us, ballistic shields for our police officers, ballistic shields for our DPS cars, our windshields, ballistic shields. We got over 200 police cars in this budget, and nobody get jealous here, but he also signed a bill this time that the Houston police officers will have deferred retirement option program back in our pension system. That was a major, major morale booster for all of our police officers here in Texas. We thank Joan Huffman for bringing that bill forward, and we thank the governor for signing that bill into law. So thank you for everything you've done for us.
Thank you, man.
Yes, I did forget. Our president of OSO is Gabe Garcia. He's also standing behind me here. OSO is Organization of Spanish-Speaking Officers. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the first vice president of the TMPA, Bill Nelson, to have a few words before the governor speaks.
All right, well, thank you, Ray. My name is Bill Nelson, and I'm the first vice president of the Texas Municipal Police Association. We represent over 34,000 officers across this state. We are the voice of Texas law enforcement. TMPA has proudly supported Governor Abbott since the beginning of his statewide political career. TMPA was the first law enforcement organization to endorse the governor for Texas Attorney General in 2002, recognizing his commitment to uphold the rule of law and protecting Texas communities. From 2002 to 2015, as the Texas Attorney General, Governor Abbott served as the state's top law enforcement officer, leading efforts to combat crime and support officers on the front lines. In championing law enforcement, Governor Abbott has opposed defunding the police. He's proposed legislation to freeze property tax increases for cities that cut police budgets, and he's deployed Texas DPS troopers to maintain order in areas like Austin where local policies threaten public safety. A proven leader to Texas law enforcement. Governor Abbott's unwavering support for criminal justice and law enforcement spans over 2 decades. From his days as Attorney General to his current role as governor, he has fought for the resources, protections, and the respect that Texas officers deserve. Now, while other governors in this country like to blame their officers, our support supports us.
That's right.
Team is firmly with Governor Abbott as he can Texas the safest state in the nation. Thank you.
All right, before we listen in to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, we do want to step away for a brief moment. We're going to continue that coverage after that. Stay with us.
The belt glides around 2 finely balanced 26-pound steel rollers. These run on 4 bearings to keep it rock steady. 6 rubber bumpers attach the base, act as shock absorbers as feet pound the belt. Inside the deck is an inch-thick board coated with wax. It's mounted on a hinge at one end and gives a solid surface for your foot to push off. This makes it easier on your joints, even if you're training for a marathon.
So you came home, put down your things, kick off your shoes, came over here, but you feel something at your feet. And that's when you see your husband.
Is this? Hey, Nikki. Are you family? This is my sister and Ethan's mother, biological.
What a crazy turn. The world knowing you stole your sister's life.
Sometimes we dig. We don't like what we find.
$4 billion stolen in the largest robbery in history.
These people will be dead. It's about the end game and the million different ways you might not survive it.
Delivery drivers play an important part in taking care of our communities. And sometimes that means delivering in the dark, where it can be tricky to navigate. By leaving a light on for drivers, we do a small thing with a big impact. When it's dark, light a path for deliveries.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinn. We are going to head back to that event where Texas Governor Greg Abbott is speaking at a law enforcement event meeting with officers.
TMPA. And I want to thank all of these law enforcement officers who are standing behind me today. Thank them for their service. Thank them for putting their lives on the line to protect and serve and keep their community safe. You know, I'm proud of any endorsement that I get, but it means something extra special when I'm endorsed by people who risk their lives every day to do their jobs. And I just want to be here and remind them that I always have and always will have their back. So going back on my commitment to law enforcement actually begins far earlier than just 2 decades ago. My commitment to law enforcement was first demonstrated when I graduated from Duncanville High School. At that time, the Duncanville Police Department provided me a scholarship to go to college, a scholarship based upon someone they thought would be committed to law enforcement. Turned out to be a good investment. As a judge, as Attorney General, and as governor, I've constantly fought for law and order in our state and fought to have the back of our law enforcement officers. And today, these law enforcement officers are reaffirming that commitment by endorsing my campaign for re-election as governor of the state of Texas. Now, Ray, I know you already mentioned this, but it never hurts to repeat an organization's name more than once. I want to thank those who gather with us here today and those who are making announcements here today. One is the Texas Municipal Police Association, the Houston Police Officers Union, the Department of Public Safety Officers Association, PAC, the Austin Police Association, the Dallas Police Association, the Harris County Deputies Organization, the Professional Bondsmen of Texas, the Organization of Spanish-Speaking Officers, and we have with us sheriffs, as you mentioned, Sheriff Jimmy Fullen of Galveston County, Sheriff Brian Hawthorne of Chambers County, and Sheriff Bo Stallman of Brazoria County. We thank all of them for their endorsements. But again, even more important than that, we thank them for what they do every single day to keep our community safe. Also want to mention somebody else who was not officially involved in law enforcement, but has had an extraordinary on Harris County and, in fact, law and order in the state of Texas. Somebody I got to know beginning back in right here in Harris County. Somebody I've worked side by side fighting for the people we should be fighting for every day, and that is victims of crime. And we have Andy Kahn. Where are you, Andy? Back here. Andy Kahn is here. Texas Crime Victims, as an organization, cannot make an endorsement. But Andy Kahn can endorse me, and he has, because he knows there's nobody more committed to protecting the victims in the state of Texas than I am. Andy, thank you for what you do. Together we have a united front working to keep public safety top of mind in every community across the entire state. As has been pointed out, I've been fighting for these law enforcement officers from day one since I've been governor. For one, you know, you mentioned the defund the police movement. This was outrageous. It occurred just a few years ago, and we've seen the aftermath of where this took place in cities like Minneapolis, Chicago, New York, Portland, and so many other locations where the defund the police movement took hold, and it led to not only a decimation of law enforcement, but also led to an escalation of crime in those communities. When cities in Texas tried to adopt the defund the police movement, I said, not on my watch will I allow that to happen? And so I led the effort to get a law passed that I signed that will ensure it does not happen in Texas, because that law will defund any city that defunds their law enforcement officers. We work constantly, we being myself and those who work under my leadership in Austin, the Texas Department of Public Safety. We work every day with local law enforcement to make our community safer. One easy example that occurred right here in Houston, where we made an announcement a few months ago, and that is we organized a repeat offenders task force. And there are law enforcement officers and associations here that were at that announcement who worked in collaboration with DPS. Since that time, we have arrested almost 200 dangerous criminals and got them off the streets, making sure the streets of Houston are safer places. And then, of course, one thing that Andy Kahn was involved in from the very beginning, something that we worked together on to get past this past session, and that is to fix the broken bail system in the state of Texas that was allowing judges here in Harris County to let repeat offender murderers out on bail with either no bail or low bail, only to murder again. That's just outrageous. And because of the effort of law enforcement, Andy Kahn, legislators in Austin, we passed the strongest bail law ever to pass in the state of Texas, making sure those criminals are going to remain behind bars. Also, we saw that law go into, or let's say, be used, I think it was yesterday, in Harris County, where a murderer of a student in high school has now been denied bail, knowing how dangerous he has proven himself to be, making sure that he is going to remain behind bars. I also worked with sheriffs across the state of Texas to assist them in integrating and participating in the 287G process that will assist ICE in apprehending people who are here illegally. And one of the biggest tasks we had in law enforcement in the state of Texas in a long time was the cataclysmic challenge we had in responding to Joe Biden's open border policies, and especially the small populated counties along the border that don't have large budgets, but they had to deal with a massive inflow of illegal immigrants. They needed financial help to hire more officers, to have more vehicles, to have tools and strategies where they could put people behind bars. And the state of Texas provided them the funding they needed to be able to respond to those open border challenges. Together, the state and local law enforcement have done more to secure our state and our border than any other state in the entire country. In collaboration, we have arrested drug cartels and narco terrorists. We have repelled illegal immigrants trying to get into the state of Texas and sent them back to Mexico. And we focused on the deadliest drug of fentanyl. Law enforcement in Texas has seized more than enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in the United States, Mexico, and Canada combined. And we've seen tangible results from an effort, because we've seen a 40% reduction in deaths because of fentanyl, thanks to this law enforcement effort by these law enforcement officers. Going forward, we understand that both law enforcement and public safety, they require ongoing vigilance. It's not like, well, we have achieved the result today and don't have to work on it tomorrow. We're going to work on law enforcement and public safety every single day. And that is what we are pledging to the people of Texas today. I want to ensure that we weld shut the revolving door of easy bail for dangerous criminals. I want to hold rogue district attorneys accountable by establishing a statewide prosecutor. I want to keep dangerous criminals behind bars and protect sensitive information in law enforcement officers' personnel files from disclosure that could expose those officers to danger. And we must maintain our ongoing efforts to ensure Texas leads the country in securing our border. In closing, let me just say I cannot thank these law enforcement officers enough for what they do for law enforcement in the state every single day. They represent the very best of who we are as Texans. I thank them for their service, their sacrifice, and their bravery. And as long as I'm governor of Texas, they will have a governor who has their back. Thank you all very much.
We were just listening in there to Texas Governor Greg Abbott speaking at a law enforcement event. We are going to just step away for a brief break, but before we do so, as we look ahead to our next live event, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro saying, quote, "Here in Pennsylvania, we've gotten stuff done, stood up for our freedoms, and created more opportunity, but there's more work to do. Join me at the EAS Carpenters Technical Center in Pittsburgh as I launch my re-election campaign." So that event happening right now live in Pittsburgh. We're going to head right there after this break.
There's a lot of great sports shows with highly analytical, deeply researched, stats-driven insights. We're not doing none of that. We watching clips on a piece of this turkey. I got it. And doing bits. That's what we do every Tuesday. Oh. From the pros to the not pros. Yeah. That was me, man. Diego Pavia. Rich Eisen. Serena Williams. Yeah. Do people ever call you the Kevin Hart of tennis?
I haven't been insulted like that yet.
He's dead.
Dad's suicide note. It's not over.
Something doesn't feel right.
You okay, son?
Ghosts right in front of me. I've been seeing people. They were murdered.
I could be losing my mind. This whole thing looks like you went mental after your father's death.
Dad, who murdered you?
Oh, hey there. Do you know how to manage my kids' schedules? I noticed a birthday party conflicts with picking up Grandma at the airport. Want me to book her a ride?
Looking in the crowd and I got them like, wow.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinu. Our next live event takes us out to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where Governor Josh Shapiro has announced his re-election campaign. He's speaking to then on the other side. My colleague Christina Evans is going to continue our live coverage.
Backlogs and opened up more doors of access. Hear me on this. We're producing more energy today than ever before because our all of the above energy strategy is working in Pennsylvania. We repaired more poor condition bridges than any other state in the nation. And we kept that mass transit system that millions of Pennsylvanians rely on up and running. More jobs, more opportunity, and more freedom. Now, we've got the only state economy in the Northeast that's growing. We made strategic investments all while protecting those in need, from our seniors to those who live with disabilities, but who have so much to offer if just given the chance. You know, there were forces in Harrisburg who wanted to rip away health care coverage and take away food assistance, but I stood tall and we stopped them. We stopped them. I've also seen the concern of parents who are just trying to provide for their kids, only to see their hard-earned dollar not going so far. So I brought people together to cut taxes in Pennsylvania 7 times. 7 times. We put money back in the pockets of seniors and small businesses, families families with child care costs and working Pennsylvania to get by. Over 400,000 seniors got a tax cut on my watch. 219,000 Pennsylvania families got a tax cut to pay for child care. And now, nearly 1 million hardworking
don't send that shit up here to Minnesota!
$800 this year.
They
Our
steal
kids
it!
are getting a better quality education. Our communities are safer. Our economy is growing. And we're putting money back in people's pockets. And through it all, you, the good people of Pennsylvania, y'all have been my North Star. And so I came back here today to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to listen to you and to serve you. I'm also here to say we've only just begun. We've got more stuff to do. We've got more people to help, and we've got more problems to solve. And so, with a servant's heart and an ear to your concerns, progress made, and with a hunger to do more for you, I am here to announce that I am running for re-election as governor of this great Commonwealth.
Are they Democrats? Great Commonwealth. No, the Commonwealth. No.
And while we celebrate our many successes and see that the sky is unlimited and that opportunity is real for more of our fellow Pennsylvanians, we know that the floor is too hard for others. We need to protect the possibility of success while making life more affordable for those struggling to get by, care for those who are sick, and ensure that the economic changes of tomorrow lift up all Pennsylvanians and leave no one behind. We have more to do to cut costs and give more Pennsylvanians a chance to get ahead. So we're going to build on that work that we've done to cut taxes and put more money back in your pockets. The work continues and the mission is not yet complete. We've got more to do, from raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour in Pennsylvania, to helping more Pennsylvanians achieve the dream of owning their own home and putting an affordable roof over their head, to producing more energy while protecting to enshrining into law protections for victims of abuse, along with our LGBT. Those companies accountable who are raising our electric bills. I'm running for re-election to continue that work. And I'm running for re-election. I have never backed down from a fight, and right now we are in a battle to protect the very foundation upon which we call home. You know, I'm privileged to serve as the 48th governor and to follow those who came before me, to take up the baton and to carry it forward. That's the way it's always been done since William Penn arrived on the banks of the Delaware River in 1682 aboard a ship named Welcome. Penn wanted to build a place that would be welcoming for all, a place that would be defined by real freedom, with free elections, free expression, and the freedom to worship as you wish, as central tenets of our new home.
So they want a government.
I know all that feels at risk right now. I get it.
Yeah?
And listen, about the progress we've made and the touched without acknowledging the very real challenges to the founding principles of our Commonwealth because of the chaos and the toxicity.
They're voting so that Congress will have some kind of say.
Some politicians who know better are too cowardly to speak up. They abandon their principles.
They got a test vote or something.
We had 5 defectors from the Republican Party.
Yeah.
We know that we would expect 2, but it's the other 3 that Trump is working with right now. And that's why you're not seeing him in front of the camera.
Wow. With us here on Live Now from Fox. It did appear that that feed froze for a second. It's back up.
Are about to lose their health care. Over 100,000 more will lose their food benefits. And millions are paying more when they go to the grocery store or buy cars or give their kid a gift. Small businesses are struggling. And farmers are losing markets and instead being offered a handout. This type of chaos erodes the progress we've made here in Pennsylvania, and I know it stokes worry, and for some, an impulse to just retreat. I have felt the weight of your worries about losing your freedoms at the hands of politicians who want to control what you read and how you get and deny you your vote. The worry about being unable to feed your kids because that compact that we relied on for generations was just ripped away. That worry I know many young people feel, that the American dream is something they learn about in the history books, but isn't something they see in their future. Every step of the way, I've stood up for my fellow Pennsylvanians, sometimes in a court of law and other times by simply refusing to back down, refusing to cast certain Pennsylvanians aside, and always by speaking truth to power. You know, the 10th Amendment, I'm going to nerd out on you here for a second. The 10th Amendment of our Constitution preserves power to the states and guards against federal overreach. So hear me when I say this. I will not let anyone mess with a Pennsylvanian, and I will always have your backs. Always. Right. I'll continue to make Pennsylvania a place where a woman's right to choose is the law. Where you can marry who you love and worship as you please, and where the union way of life is protected, because on my watch, Pennsylvania will never be a right-to-work state. Never. Now is not a time for any of us, though, to retreat. It's a time to engage, a time to stand up to the bullies, a time to offer calm in the face of chaos, and find ways to come together to defend our progress and Commonwealth. In these times of challenge, let us take comfort in knowing that progress is possible and that we can work together. We're showing that here in Pennsylvania. And in this time where others want to stoke division, let us commit ourselves to the proposition that no American is my enemy, and every American is a partner in the greatest experiment of human governance in the history of the world. We are all descendants of Penn, and we bear the ability to carry it forward and continue that work, to find ways to appeal to our better angels instead of succumbing to our worst impulses. You know, the solution for curing the divisions of America is to refuse to become part of them. Refuse the personal attacks, whitewashing of our shared history, and refuse the scapegoating of others. It refused to allow our party registration to shut us off from our neighbors. Look, I'm a proud Democrat, like many of you here. And I know we have many proud Republicans here as well. Democrat, Republican, Independent, we are all Pennsylvanians first. I'm honored to be a governor for all Pennsylvanians, to reaffirm that no American is my enemy, and every American shares a common future. A future grounded in freedom and opportunity, with good schools and safe communities, a job in the community, and a dream that feels achievable with hard work and dedication. A future ahead, and when you do, you can too. A future where your success breeds others to achieve higher heights. And so, my fellow Pennsylvanians, the choice in this race, will we continue to do the work of bringing people together, get stuff done, or will we descend into the chaos and extremism that has gripped too many other places across our nation? Build a promise of binded Pennsylvanians together for generations, or will this be the moment where the compact phrase, visions define our future? Will we trust women to make decisions over their own bodies? Trust parents to raise their children? Trust the people to elect their representatives? Or will we undermine the right to vote? Eliminate personal freedoms and restrict us? Will we be consumed by darkness or seek out the light that our neighbors shine? I want to continue to Pennsylvania where we value our freedom, we cherish our democracy, and where we show love to our Commonwealth. And 3 years ago, we chose to keep darkness and division and extremism out of the governor's office. And, you know, this year they're running that same playbook again. In Pennsylvania, optimistic that we're going to reject it again. We're going to reject it again. And my optimism comes from those of you in this room, the people I've listened to along the way, and all the people who came before us. Let me explain. When at midnight on New Year's last week, we not only ushered in a new year, we on the celebration of this great nation, a nation that got its start right here in Pennsylvania. 250 years ago, a band of patriots gathered in Philadelphia to declare our independence from a king. They knew not what was to come, but they knew that their future and those who follow would be grounded in the notion of freedom and self-nation. And for as much work as they did for us, the brilliance proclamations was that their work was incomplete, and that the job of building the nation would fall to subsequent generations. And in every chapter of our American story, it's been ordinary Pennsylvanians, ordinary Americans who've been called upon to pick up the mantle of leadership, chip away at injustice, push back on intolerance, and make progress for the next generation. Over the last 250 years, we've been willing to do that work, sometimes at the ballot box, sometimes in a town square, and more recently online. No one is coming to do it for us right now. That task falls to each. I know it's easier to see the chaos and just turn off the TV, retreat, and hope someone else does the work. But that is not the Pennsylvania way. And your presence here today proves that. We are a state. From those founders 250 years ago, to our workers who built our cities and towns, to those who descended beneath the surface of the earth to power our Commonwealth and our country and form the arsenal of democracy. But power isn't just wielded and use it. Post about why state. Have that respectful discussion and wants a different way. Volunteer for a shift at your local campaign headquarters. Probably wear some of that Shapiro merch and show that you believe in empathy, you believe in progress and real results, and that you reject extremism. And don't lose sight of the fact that you've got a privilege to live here in Pennsylvania, the biggest state of all that always decides it all. You have the ability right here in your hands in Pennsylvania to decide balance of power in the U.S. House of Representatives. And you've got the power to help me win a trifecta in Harrisburg, where the legislature is divided by a mere 3 seats. You've got the power. You've got the power to re-elect our history-making lieutenant governor for you. So, keep listening. I'm going to keep being a governor for all Pennsylvanians. I'm going to keep on getting stuff done. And through it, knowing that you have my back, knowing that you truly give a damn about this Commonwealth and are ready to work to protect our country, well, that inspires me and it gives us all hope. You have the power, and I've got your backs. We're going to win our re-election. We're going to win our re-election. And from here in Pennsylvania, the birthplace of our democracy, we will send a clear message that division does not define, that progress is still possible when we work together, and that we can build a Commonwealth where everyone has the freedom to chart their own course and the opportunity to succeed. Thank you all so much. God bless you. Now let's get back to work. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, as you said, wraps up the speech from the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro, as he has now announced his re-election campaign. And so you can see the room is full there with his supporters as he made this speech there as well. We do know that, of course, Governor Josh Shapiro has decided to run for a second term. This is the pivotal state of Pennsylvania. This is after that first term put him on the Democratic Party's radar as a potential presidential contender in 2028. And so the conversations are still ongoing at this time as Josh Shapiro has really risen the ranks there within the Democratic Party. We do know that Shapiro hasn't at this point disclosed any ambitions for a higher office. His re-election effort will be watched as yet another test of whether or not he's White House material. And so when I zoom in here on this shot and put it full on your screen before we transition to some of our other stories, as we're getting these images of Shapiro and others who are part of the Democratic Party shaking hands there in the room for this event in Pittsburgh. And so this is ever since he was in office in a near landslide victory back in 2020. Shapiro has been mentioned alongside Democratic contemporaries like California Governor Gavin Newsom, Illinois' J.B. Pritzker, as well as Maryland Governor Wes Moore and others as someone who could lead a national ticket. We do know that Shapiro, who is 52 years old, we did just lose that shot here on Live Now from Fox. That happened from time to time, but I do want to put this up on your screen. It's something I have from his X account. But we do know that Shapiro has already made his rounds outside of Pennsylvania. In fact, last year, he campaigned for Democrats running for governor in New Jersey, Virginia, and he's also a freak on several talk shows talking about the country's political situation. And so he was also considered as a potential running mate for back in 2024. Ultimately, though, we know she chose Tim Walz, who was minister instead. But once again, we do know that Josh Shapiro is announcing his re-election campaign for 4 more years there in the state of Pennsylvania. A lot of folks paying attention to whether or not this means more.
Did you get my
for his
prescriptions?
I'm going to be getting
Okay, well then don't log.
We'll continue to top stories that we're following. I do want to briefly take you out to this shot that we're watching and monitoring out of Minnesota, as the biggest story of the week has really been tracking all of the developments after a war. As you can see there, that sign bears her name. Renee Good was killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis. She was killed by an ICE agent after they say that she tried to ram her car into one of those agents while they were conducting operations in the city. And so this vantage point is showing where a vigil is now growing with supporters showing up and bearing her name. On the other side of the city, though, we're also seeing live shots like this. This is an active view of a protest that is now gathered there. If they turn the camera, you would be able to see the line of ICE agents who are also there and federal agents. We're standing in front of this facility. We're going to kick in with all of these shots here in just 2 minutes. We have to slide away for our first commercial break of the hour. Stay right here with us on Live Now.
I mean, that's her car. She's entitled.
The 2025 Subaru Outback, designed to take you anywhere you want to go. Now available with CR financing at Maury's Brooklyn Park Subaru. Discover the many reasons you'll love a new Outback. Advanced technology features for added convenience of available wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Tough, sophisticated, and standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Get out there and go places. In a new 2025 Subaru Outback. Never looked so good. Visit Maury's Brooklyn